You're now listening to the Engage the Rockies podcast, your go-to podcast for local and state issues concerning Colorado.
Hello, Rockies. This is Sarah Jane Maroney, your host, and welcome to the Week in Review, the first week in March of 2025. Top story. The Colorado Republican Party chairman, Dave Williams, announced on Friday that he is not seeking a second term. They are scheduled to elect statewide officers at the biennial reorganization meeting of the party's state central committee on the 29th of March in Castle Rock. And 4 Republicans have launched bids. Darcy Schoening, the state party's director of special initiatives, former Routt County treasurer Britta Horn, former Mesa County GOP chair Kevin McCarney, and former Weld County Commissioner and former State Representative Lori Sane have all announced a bid to run for the office. Changes ahead. Ballots for the Colorado Springs City Council election are being mailed out today. They are due on the 1st of April at 7 p.m. We interviewed City Clerk Sarah Johnson, and you can check out that podcast finding out a little bit more about the election. As well, I did not know this, but there is a ballot tracker for the city council elections, and you can go onto the city's website, type in your information, and find out if they have received your ballot or not. As we told you on a previous Week in Review, Denver Mayor Mike Johnston did testify on the 5th of March to the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform. There were quite a few fiery exchanges, and one Florida rep said that she was going to be referring various different transgressions of statute over to the DOJ. We happen to have a bill before the Colorado State Legislature, SB 2547, Enforcement of Federal Immigration Law concerning reversing certain actions by the General Assembly related to measures intended to limit enforcement of federal immigration law. This was presented by Representatives Baisley, Brooks, and Richardson, and it was assigned to the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. However, it is very, very unlikely to pass in a Democratic-controlled House. However, George Brauchler came out in favor of the bill. You'll recall that Engage the Rockies interviewed him previously, and you can check out that podcast. He is the new DA for the newly stood up 3rd Judicial District, and it began operation on the 14th of January. On the 29th of January, they got their very first conviction against Bruno Gutierrez Zorrilla, a Venezuelan immigrant, found guilty of aggravated robbery and stealing more than $3,000 worth of jewelry and sunglasses in December and January from Douglas County stores, including the Park Meadows Mall. George Brauchler in this article said that he was confident if we removed the sanctuary laws in Colorado and Denver that this would have prevented this crime ring and make the metro area safer. The Colorado Legislature's Executive Committee has decided to cancel 10 letter committees. They have cited budget issues and fiscal worries. This includes the Colorado Youth Advisory Council Committee. Eliminating this will save about $50,000 in general funds. However, it's quite sad for the high school students who are normally allowed to make a scheduled presentation to the legislature in July. Also on the chopping block is the Emergency Preparedness Response and Recovery Committee, the Pension Review Subcommittee, the Statewide Healthcare Review Committee, the Opioid and Other Substance Use Disorders Study Committee, none of which have met since 2023. The Colorado Health Insurance Exchange Oversight Committee, the Oversight Committee concerning jail standards, the treatment of persons with behavioral health disorders in the criminal and juvenile justice systems, and the Legislative Oversight Committee concerning tax policy and tax force. And finally, all of those have submitted 5 bills each. The Legislative Oversight Committee concerning jail standards only offered 3 bills this session. And then finally, the Sales and Use Tax Simplification Task Force only submitted 2 bills. But under these conditions, they will not be allowed to travel, meet, or recommend legislation for the 2026 session. The U.S. Air Force recently said that it identified 100 cadets during an investigation into potential violations of honor code. It is a weekly knowledge test, and 100 cadets admitted to either cheating or tolerating cheating, and they are going to receive punitive sanctions and rehabilitation actions. The U.S. Air Force Academy superintendent in a statement said, "The honor code is foundational to the U.S. Air Force Academy and character necessary of warrior leaders." One of the 3 planned studies evaluating the impact of the Buc-ee's, that is for Palmer Lake, has been returned. The study was released on the 27th of February and took a look at 4 existing intersections and anticipated 3 intersections that will aid in access to the potential proposed Buc-ee's. And in addition, the intersection of County Line Road and Spruce Mountain Road was analyzed to determine traffic impacts near this area. And the study indicates that the roads won't see any major impacts and still recommends that the town consider aligning the north leg of Perry Park Road and the south leg of County Line Road to improve driver safety and operations. Back on the 12th of December, the Board of Trustees of Palmer Lake voted to approve the project's annexation eligibility. It still hasn't been approved as an annexation, just that it was eligible. Obviously, quite a few local residents are up in arms about this. And while traffic mitigation was a concern, another point is the water provided, and that is going to be dealt with in a separate study. Freshman Congressman Jeff Crank held his first virtual town hall. The town hall began with Representative Crank discussing President Trump's congressional address and saying he saw the Texas Democrat Representative Al Green's interruption as disrespectful. And he said, quote, "As long as I serve you, I will never insult the people's house like the left did last night. I was shocked and I was disappointed for the institution of the House of Representatives," end quote. And he added that he is co-sponsoring a motion to censure Representative Green. And that will be voted on Thursday. He also discussed his endorsement of President Trump's plans to eliminate the U.S. Department of Education, highlighting the need for a reduction of the $36 trillion debt. And he said that it's allowing teachers to be paid more and parents to have a greater say in what their children are being taught. They asked him about a variety of topics on this town hall, including SB 3 that is before the Colorado State Legislature. And Representative Crank, obviously he's a congressman, so can't speak into that. He can only voice his opposition to it. But he noted that the Colorado legislature has gotten radical against the Second Amendment and guns and called it unconstitutional. And those are the top stories for the first week of March in 2025. Thanks for joining us. Please make sure to like and subscribe.
Thank you for listening to the Engage the Rockies podcast, your go-to podcast for local and state issues concerning Colorado.